Hello, Sixth Hour. I trust you're behaving yourself in my absence. Today I'm going to talk to you about your next major assignment, which is going to be making an infographic. First thing I want to show you is how to get to the information for this assignment. First thing you're going to need to do is to go to my website, bjhs8henglish.weebly.com, and you will go to Major Assignments. Click on Major Assignments, and it will take you to this page here. And you can scroll down to quarter 3 because we are in quarter 3 for the time being. And we will click on Informative Infographics. Now, the first thing that you'll see on this page is just kind of a definition of what it is to be an informative paper versus a persuasive paper. You can look at that if you'd like to, and there's also a presentation. You're welcome to look through that if you would like to, but it is not necessary for today. So the first part over here, the second part, talks about what is an infographic, and basically gives you a little definition. Next thing I want to draw your attention to is the paper you were just handed that says all about infographics. Now make sure you put your name on that and put your hour on that as well too. And basically what this is going to do is going to tell you about a little bit about what an infographic is. And to sum all this up, an infographic is just a way to write a paper in a way that is visually appealing and easy to read. So we're going to kind of go back and forth between the website and this paper, so you know what to do. One of the first things that this paper is going to ask you to do is to define what are the major parts of an infographic. So if you go to the website, you scroll down to the third section, you can see, look, it has what the parts of an infographic are, and it says it's the visual, the content, and the knowledge. The visual says it's the colors, graphics, and icons colors, graphics, and icons in the design of the infographic. And if you look at your paper over here, it says colors, graphics, and icons used in the design of the infographic. That is probably going to be the visual. Next thing it says the content, text, statistics, timeframes, and references. Your sheet over here says text, statistics, timeframes, and references. That is probably going to be the content. The last thing it says the knowledge, facts, and conclusions that convey the overall message of the story. Well, lo and behold, look, the facts and conclusions to convey the overall message of the story. So you can fill those out with the information that is on the website. The next thing it's going to ask you to do is to look at the tips for creating a good infographic. Now, if you look over here, there are 5 tips for creating an infographic. And if you scroll a little bit further down, you will see they are listed out for you in an easy way for you to copy. First thing I want to do is just kind of go through this infographic and tell you about infographics. First tip for creating a good infographic is to have one goal. Stay focused on that goal. Don't create an infographic that's about basketball and then start talking about lacrosse or something like that. Make sure you stick to what your topic is and don't go on any what are known as tangents. Tip number 2 is to use graphics and visuals. An infographic should have graphics. Basically, it needs to have some pictures on it, things to make it appealing or to make it look good. So, and you can see this one right here has quite a few pictures. It has some things that are visually appealing, and it makes me want to see what kind of stuff is on this particular infographic. Step number 3 is to stick to a color palette. A color palette basically just means that it's a bunch of colors that go well together, that look nice together. So when you're designing your website, make sure that the colors you use aren't just chosen randomly, that they actually look really good together. Tip number 4 is to organize your data horizontally. Horizontal just basically means to go back and forth like that. Think of the word horizon. That's kind of how I remember what is horizontal versus vertical. What that means is when you are reading a book, you read from left to right in a horizontal fashion. So when you're designing your infographic, make sure your data or the information that's in your infographic goes from left to right and is read from left to right. That way, when your reader is reading it, they look at this stuff first, they look at that next, they look at that next, they look at that next, and then they go to the next page and look at it like that. And that way, it is easily read, and anyone can understand what information is in there. Last tip is to keep it short and sweet. An infographic is not a place to put a ton of information. An infographic is just a place to kind of have a few things to talk about and just put a little bit of information. That way people know what you're talking about. You will see on your sheet there is an area for you to write all those tips. And again, on the website, under 5 tips for creating infographics, that is how you can find the information to fill out this section. Next thing I ask you to do is to put an X by 1 or 2 tips that are most important to you. So again, this is going to be completely up to you. I want to find out which tips, which are the things that you're most concerned about. Do you think that it's most important to be focused? Do you think it's most important to have graphics and visuals? What do you think? The next section of this is going to take you a little while. This is what's known as the individual activity. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a few infographics and kind of rate them and see what makes these things, which one of these infographics is the best and why is it the best. So in order to see some of these infographics, I'm going to show you where to go. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to about the center of the page under infographics, scroll down, and there is a link that says infographic activity. This is one that's lighting up right here. I'm going to give you a second just to make sure you know which one it is, and I'm going to click on that. That's going to open up a new page and show us all of these different infographics. Infographic number 1, infographic number 2, infographic number 3, infographic number 4, infographic number 5, and then finally infographic number 6. Now I'll go through these again real quick for you later on, but I've also showed you where this is so you can see what these things are. So what this is going to ask you to do, it's going to ask you to rate them on the 3 different things that we talked about earlier: the content, the visual, and then again on the knowledge. And you can see that there is a brief description of what the content is, a brief description of what the visual is, and then a brief description of what the knowledge is. What you will need to do is you will need to go through each of those infographics and then rate them. Which one do you think has the best content? Put it up there. Which one has the worst content down there? And then explain why. Why does it have the best content? Why does it have the worst content? And all the ones in between as well too. You'll need to do the same thing for the visual. Which infographic are you talking about? Now it says title of infographic. You can just put infographic number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever ones work better for you. And then explain why. Why is it easy or hard to follow it? Why does the visual look good or bad? And then finally, the knowledge of it. Make sure you're reading all this information over here, looking at each of the infographics, and then rating them based off their knowledge. Then finally, last but not least, I'm asking you, which one do you think is the best overall infographic and why? Now again, before you get into this, I want to show you exactly how to get to this one more time. If you're on my website and you click on Major Assignments and you scroll down to 3rd quarter and click on Informative Infographics and you scroll down to about the middle of the page, you can see where the infographic activity is. And you click on that, and then you can see all of the infographics. I'm going to show them all to you one more time just so you know what we're talking about. This is infographic number 1. This is infographic number 2. This is infographic number 3. Infographic number 4. Infographic number 5. And finally, infographic number 6. Again, if you have any questions, please ask the sub for help, or if Miss Miller's in the room, you can ask her as well. I look forward to seeing you when I come back. Thank you.